Thanks for your support as a channel member, Fizzy! We've had 3 different Grand Prix winners so far in 2025. Are we going to have a 4th in Bahrain? No. Hello folks and welcome to my predictions for the 2025 Bahrain Grand Prix, and it's going to be, first of all, a much more interesting race than we had in Suzuka. That race was dictated by the fact that the cars were all just stuck in that invisible buffer of dirty air, and DRS wasn't anywhere near useful enough to get close enough to affect an overtake. The circuit just didn't play to overtaking. Simple as that. So we got a race dictated by qualifying. Will we get the same in Bahrain? No, because first of all, strategy is much more fluid there, and we will see more overtakes because there's better DRS zones and overtaking spots in general. So first of all, with the track and the strategy, the tyres just get crucified on the surface. They're just ripped to shreds, which means the undercut is super powerful. So if you are McLaren and you're behind a Max Verstappen, then you can pull the undercut and you can get the job done and get that critical free air that you so desperately want to make your car work and allow it to be fast. But also, if you are behind, you've got DRS, that big long straight down into turn 1, big hairpin, or big braking zone into a hairpin, and then you can get the switch back, you can set somebody up. We saw some great racing between Leclerc and Verstappen in 2022 right at the start of this regulation set. So I think we're going to be in for a much more fun race to watch. So yeah, definitely improvements in terms of the racing spectacle on the way. But will it result in a different winner? And as I said at the start, no, it will not. You could argue that we've had 4 different winners this season, and technically we have. Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari won the Chinese sprint race, but that doesn't really count as a Grand Prix, as a real victory, does it? Because it's only, what, a third of the race distance? So yeah, a win's a win, I suppose, but it's not one that's going to be reflected on in Lewis Hamilton's pantheon of illustrious victories over his career. 105 Grand Prix wins he has, just 1 sprint win. So yeah, I'm not sure he's going to lose too much sleep over the fact that we don't count it as highly as the others. But here's what I think is going to happen in Sakhir this weekend. We'll start with pole position, which was so crucial in Japan. I'm going for Oscar Piastri to bag his 2nd career pole position. He got the job done in China. The McLaren, I think, will be the car to beat once again. Of course, it was beaten in Japan. I just feel like Oscar's going to need to... He's going to want to show that he's the faster driver. And he didn't quite get the job done in Suzuka. And he's going to want to put that right and start on pole in Sakhir. So let's move to my podium. And originally I had Charles Leclerc in 3rd, but through the course of today I've actually changed my mind. And I'm going with the form man, Max Verstappen. I don't know how good the Red Bull is going to be around the Sakhir circuit. Will it chew up its tyres? Will they even get it in the window to work? He could be 1st, he could be 8th with this car. Who even knows? But he's Max Verstappen, he's very, very good at driving racing cars. He'll drag something out of it. So I'm going to put him on the podium. And it's probably not a surprise. It's a bit of a boring podium that I've got because the 2 McLaren drivers are also there. It's more of a which way round they're going to be. So Max Verstappen in 3rd, and moving to 2nd, Lando Norris. Predicted him to win the last 2 races and he hasn't. So I'm going to predict him to finish 2nd, and he'll probably win on Sunday now. So there you go, Lando. I'll just keep predicting you to finish 2nd until I'm right. This is just a coin flip, really. It's just a put your finger in the air and see which way the wind's blowing and decide, really, because Norris is fast, and he's shown that this season. He showed that last season. We've seen it all through his career that he has the speed. It's just about putting it together, and now that the pressure is on, with a title fight, you've got to deliver every single weekend, every single session, really. You cannot afford a mistake. And he was a little bit conservative in the chicane in Suzuka, which cost him pole position, and that would have allowed him to win the race. He's got to nail qualifying this time around, but as I said, I think he'll be out-qualified by Oscar Piastri, who I think will go on to win the race. He will get the preferential strategy. He'll be given the opportunity to pit first, which will be very important on a circuit where tyre wear is critical. The McLaren is very good on its tyres. It showed that in Australia. So expect them to pull away and maybe separate a little bit. It will be up to the driver in second to make the difference. As I said last week, ahead of the Japanese Grand Prix, it's up to the driver behind to force the issue, to make the overtake, and to clinch the win. But if you're in P1, you can control, to a certain extent, what goes on. Slightly more difficult to do that in Bahrain, as I've said, with the easier opportunities to overtake, but we shall see. I've gone for Oscar Piastri to win. We'll go through some of your predictions in a minute, but before we do that, we've got a bold prediction to be made. Now, there's only one team that is yet to score this season, and actually it's a team that looked quite promising at the start of the year in pre-season testing and has, lived up to all the memes. Alpine still on the donut, so my prediction is that they will get their first point or points this season. Whether it will be Jack Doohan or Pierre Gasly, probably Pierre Gasly, let's be honest. Whether we'll see Jack Doohan again after this race or after Jeddah, who even knows what is going on with their driver lineup plans, because they've got Franco Colapinto waiting in the wings. But they will have points after this weekend. That is my bold prediction. Time for your predictions then, and as ever, I have put out the call and you have responded. 15 of you have shared your pole, race winner and podium predictions and a bold prediction, so let's get stuck into them. I won't go through them all, but they will appear on the screen, so thank you to everyone who has left a message on the post. It is greatly appreciated, and as always, we will mix things up. Members will get theirs read out, so if you do want to get yours read out as a guaranteed, become a member. Then you can join Justin in the members club, and he has gone for Lando on pole, and he will convert that into wins ahead of Leclerc and Max Verstappen. Interesting podium. Bold prediction, there is a safety car for a front-running crash. I'm expecting that that is a crash that eliminates Oscar Piastri in this predictive world of Justin. So interesting. Let us know what you think on that. Let's scroll down a little bit further. Let's go to Luke Hutt, who is a new commenter for this section of the channel, this series. He's gone for Charles Leclerc on pole and to win the race ahead of Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, with Oliver Behrman finishing ahead of Oscar Piastri. Well, that would be quite the effort from Oliver Behrman. That's bold. That is very bold. Interesting, very interesting. Let's move on to Harry H, who says Lando will get pole, but Oscar Piastri will win. Kind of the opposite of what I'm saying. Like I said, it is a flip a coin, stick your finger in the air and see which way the wind is blowing as to which McLaren is going to win or be on pole. So in Harry's prediction, Norris isn't even on the podium. That's because he's crashed with Max Verstappen on the first lap. That would be incredible. And it allows Charles Leclerc and George Russell to join the Australian driver on the podium. One would assume that Piastri would then take the championship lead in that situation if Lando and Max are both out of the race. Not quite, can't remember quite the gaps between them, but it would at least be very, very close. Right, Pulse Ollie has gone for Oscar Piastri on pole position ahead, and then finishing ahead of Norris and Verstappen. He's basically said what I'm going to say. So yeah, me and Ollie, apparently, great minds think alike. Hulkenberg finishing in the top 8. Trust in the Sauber. Trust in the Sauber indeed. Sean will appreciate the Sauber backing. Let's move on to Super Max, who's admitted that Delulu mode is very much on. Charles Leclerc to take pole position. Ferrari strong around Bahrain historically, so don't rule it out. Probably don't have quite the car performance to really do it, but surprises do happen. Leclerc to win ahead of Piastri and Verstappen, with Yuki Tsunoda bagging a top 8 finish. Interesting prediction from Supermax then. Surprised that Verstappen isn't on top, considering your username. But anyway, I mean, a very interesting prediction. Let's go with Chamil. I picked this one out because I thought this is quite wild, isn't it? Lando Norris pole position, but Kimi Antonelli to win the race in a Mercedes 1-2 ahead of Max Verstappen. No points for McLaren. Remember, McLaren are part owned by I don't know if it's the Bahraini royal family, but there's an organisation that's Bahrain related. So McLaren have Bahrain sort of influence in that sense. So yeah, this is kind of a second home race for them. That would be devastating, I would suppose. Well, I don't suppose, it definitely would be. So that is quite an interesting prediction. What's Ben got here? He's got Lando Norris to take pole and to win the race. A McLaren 1-2 ahead of George Russell. Bold prediction, Max does bad. It's very vague. It's a very broad spectrum of he does bad. Max Verstappen might say P3 is bad. Who knows? And then finally then, Jeremy Kasoka, one of our channel members, has gone for Oscar Piastri on pole position. He will then win the race ahead of Norris and Verstappen. That's what I've predicted as well, with a bold prediction of Yuki Tsunoda in the top 10 and Verstappen to take the championship lead if Norris has a bad race. Interesting stuff. So yeah, lots of variety there. If you haven't left a comment, if you're not one of these lovely people who has done so, thank you to everyone who did. If you haven't already, you can leave your predictions in the comments down below. So that's what I think, and that's what everybody else thinks. If you want to join us in more F1 chat, you can join the AHGP Discord. There is a link in the description below. Click it and it will take you straight to the heart of the action. We'll be discussing everything to do with the qualifying session on Saturday and the Grand Prix throughout on Sunday. I will be going live on Saturday afternoon for a qualifying watch along, so make sure you're there and we'll enjoy a very exciting qualifying session together and see who comes out on pole position. Thanks for watching, you're the best fans, and remember, be fast or be last.